excited to be back with our first speaker of the day, and we're really excited about having Alexandra Franzen with us because we've been stalking her blog for a while, Unicorns for Socialism. And if you have not read the latest post about your internet penis, then you must go read it because it's pretty much the most
I saw that
hilarious
last
thing
night.
I've ever
I
seen.
haven't read it yet. I can't wait.
So,
What's the title? Alexandra, what's the title?
It's, is your internet penis too small?
Oh.
yeah.
I can't wait.
So, this girl has all sorts of amazing insights wrapped up in humor, and we're just really excited to have her with us because as we've been following her and following her journey, this is a woman who now, I know you're not too far into your business, but you're booked solid for like 6 months or so. And that's pretty damn inspiring. And it seems from everything we've heard that you've just absolutely stepped into your area of genius, and it's totally working for you and everyone who adores working with you. So we're thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I did my hair extra special for y'all.
Awesome.
Really good. Now, Alexandra, where are you? Where are you in the world?
I'm in Minneapolis, actually. Right now I'm in my apartment, which is kind of a little Swedish cube box where I work and live and everything else. And yeah, I'm in Minnesota, of all places.
Cool.
Awesome. So today you are going to share with everybody how to, what was the thing? Finding your creative rhythm and getting things done a bajillion times faster, which we like. We like a bajillion times faster.
We do. We like
rocks.
a bajillion times faster. Let's hear it.
It's a good one. Yeah, so the title of my talk, or what I want to talk about today, is indeed how to find your ideal creative rhythm so that you can get stuff done a bajillion times faster. But more than that, so that you can really do your best work, right? Not just the busy work, not the minutia, but your best work on the planet. So for those of you who don't know me very well, yes, I write about internet penises, apparently, but I'm a writer, and I work primarily with really quirky and eccentric and brilliant entrepreneurs and artists, and I channel their stories into business and marketing language. So that's like what I do, right? But really, I'm on a mission. I really am here on the planet, I believe, to inspire self-expression by helping people, by helping people remember who they are, right? And part of remembering who you are is kind of remembering or rediscovering that ideal creative rhythm that makes you come alive and makes you do your best work. So my question for everyone watching today is, how do you want to move through the world? Like in a literal sense, how do you want to spend your time? But what is your ideal rhythm? Like what is the pacing, the flow that's going to make you really happy and make you a lot of money? Because I know that the theme of today is more time, more money, more fun.
That's right.
Something to that effect. So first, let me define really quickly what I mean when I say your ideal creative rhythm. It's pretty simple. You know, it's that space where you lose track of time. It's that space where you're so in the moment, you're so in the groove, you're just insanely productive, prolific, you're having lightning bolt epiphanies left and right, and it doesn't feel like work, right? We've all had that moment. We've all experienced that flow, and we all want to get back there because that's when we do our best work and it's the most fun. So today, this isn't a lesson, you know, this isn't really a how-to, this is more of just an inspiring reminder to find that rhythm and anchor your entire life and business around it instead of fighting against it. You know, as an entrepreneur, you have a unique privilege in that you have the ability to truly design your day in a way that most people are not able to. So take advantage of that. And I want to talk about one of my favorite people in history, Mr. Benjamin Franklin. And I promise this ties into creativity and productivity. So Benjamin Franklin, as most of you know, great founding father of our nation, if you live in the United States of America. But what you might not know is that he was this like insanely prolific, creative writer, printer, speaker, teacher, inventor. He invented the Franklin stove, the harmonica. I mean, just you name it, like lightning rods. He was just insane, right? Amazingly prolific. He created the first library. He founded the first fire station. I mean, this is a guy who you can't believe how much he was able to accomplish in his one lifetime. And what I believe is that this is a man who found his ideal creative rhythm and really designed his whole world around it. And we have proof of this because Benjamin Franklin kept meticulous journals of his day, and he actually recorded his daily routine very vividly in black and white. And the way that Benjamin Franklin would structure his day, I'm going to walk you through it because I find it so inspiring, is he would wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, and he would spend the first 3 hours of every day just meditating upon the question, what good shall I do this day? So first 3 hours of every day was just, what good shall I do this day? That was how he started every single morning. Then he would do about 4 hours of work. He'd take a 2-hour leisurely lunch break, do a couple more hours of work, and then he would wrap up every day with, as he called it, evening diversions. I don't know what that means exactly. But he would finish with evening diversions, and he would meditate then in the evening hours upon what good have I done this day. So I'm going to rip out my head.
Oh wait, we can't hear you.
Okay. So Mr. Benjamin Franklin had a very clearly defined creative rhythm, right, that really worked for him. And we know it worked for him because he was amazingly prolific. So I'm telling you this story, again, to kind of prove my point. You know, when you find your rhythm, when you find the hours of the day that you're your most productive, when you find the flow that works for you, amazing things happen. You can invent the glass harmonica, for example. So I want to talk about my own story because I sort of have been on a journey of the past couple of years of finding my own creative rhythm as I've built up my writing business. And when I first started my business, fresh out of a 9-to-5 job where your rhythm is essentially prescribed for you, I found myself really not even knowing or remembering how I liked to play, how I liked to work. I had to sort of unlearn a lot of things to claim it again. And it took me about a year of trial and error and muddling around before, and I remember it very distinctly, I was literally soaking in a bathtub, thinking to myself, what is it that I can do that no one else on the planet can do? And I just kept repeating that question to myself over and over. What is it that I can do that no one else on the planet can do? And it hit me in the bathtub. I had a Benjamin Franklin moment. I had an epiphany, and I realized that I have a gift for writing the particular kind of speed and precision that most copywriters don't do, or don't do in the same way that I do. And once I realized that, it was all about rhythm, it was all about timing, it was all about speed, I was able to design a signature offering that was in alignment with my creative rhythm instead of fighting against it, right? Up until that point, I had been doing these sort of weird packages of time and writing and services that were really competing with the way that I naturally like to work and think. And it wasn't until that moment that I realized it. So once I created my signature offering, which was essentially an extremely expeditious and speedy one-day immersion bundle, everything changed. It was like magic. Like people came out of the woodwork. Suddenly I was attracting these rock star clients. Suddenly my own writing abilities got better. Everything up leveled. And I find myself now about, a little over a year after creating that offering, booked 6 months in advance. Literally, 6 months booked until the end of the year, which boggles my own mind, and able to charge rates that I never would have dreamed possible, and that feel good and like solid for me. So still more proof, if Benjamin Franklin wasn't enough, that finding your ideal creative rhythm and again, designing your life and business in alignment with it can really shift things for you immensely quickly, very, very magically. So I want to talk about, maybe 3 ways that you might start to identify what your creative rhythm is, right? We all want the glorious how-to at the end of a conversation. So these are 3 ways, again, that worked for me. There may be a million other ways as well, but I think these are really good for at least getting to the foundation of the pacing and the rhythm that you work best. So the very first one is just tracking your I can't believe I get paid for this moments. Right? Again, those moments where you're so in the groove, you're so in the flow, you can't believe you get paid for this, you can't believe this is work, this is your career. Those moments of joy, fluidity, ease, where things come easily to you, I think that we're really trained to believe that work has to be hard, even if it's fun work, and I want to just completely argue against that. I think that work at its best should feel easy, right? So tracking, in a literal sense, keep a journal. Those moments where you hit that glowing zone, that's the first clue to where your creative rhythm is hiding. Like for me, I often would remember I hit the zone when I knew I had a whole day set aside just to focus on one client and I could really dig in and just be very immersive about it. That's when I would hit my zone. When I was bouncing around between multiple clients in a single day, I felt fragmented, I felt scattered, I wasn't able to sink in. It wasn't easy, right? So another way to start identifying your creative rhythm, and this is a big one, is to become really sensitive and attentive to resentment, right? So when you look at your calendar for the week, you look at your clients ahead of you, you look at your projects, and you look at your meetings, whatever it is, notice, like in your body, which things on your calendar trigger a sense of, of resentment, right? Because those things, I'm willing to bet, are in direct opposition to your creative rhythm. So for example, I know personally that, if I have a couple of little itty bitty phone calls sort of peppered throughout my day, even if they're just like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, those little interruptions, that's enough to throw me off my groove and I feel resentful. So I've made a very, very concerted effort to avoid doing things like that, even though it seems like no big deal. What's 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there? I know for me, it doesn't work. It makes me resentful. I don't want it. I don't want to feel resentful, right? I want to feel great about what I'm doing in the world. So be mindful and notice if your resentment comes up around particular activities. Is it phone calls? Is it stuff first thing in the morning? Is it stuff at the end of the day? Is it email exchanges? What are the pieces and when are they happening and how are they happening? And the more you can identify those and start to clear them away, the closer you'll be to your ideal creative rhythm, right? It's just a good practice for life as well if you want to be a friendly, happy, smiley person, I believe. So the third piece of identifying your creative rhythm, and this is one that we don't often think about, but I think is really key, is to be very mindful about the praise that you receive. What are people thanking you for? Often kind of buried in client testimonials or in praise from friends or family, we find little clues to who we are, to who we really are at our best, right? So again, to use myself as an example, I remember in my first year of being fully freelance entrepreneur writer, I was often thanked for my speed. Like people would say, I can't believe how quickly you turned this around. It was so spot on. It's amazing. It's like lightning. And I'd be like, yeah, cool, whatever, yeah. And again, it took me about a year of hearing that before I was like, there's something there. This is special. This is a talent of mine. Again, so often we take the gifts that come naturally to us completely for granted, and we don't realize that they're special. So starting to kind of perk up your ears when you start to hear praise coming in can really illuminate who you are, what makes you extraordinary, and again, the rhythms, the pacing, the timing to your ideal creative flow, right? So by doing those three things, really for a year of muddling around, tracking my I can't believe I get paid for this moments, really prickling my ears up to resentment on my calendar, and starting to really listen deeply to the praise, I was able to move closer to that rhythm. And it worked for me. And I believe it will work for you too. And one last thing I want to say, and I think this is another really, really big piece, especially for very early entrepreneurs who are just starting their businesses, who are just starting to, kind of throw things against the wall and see if they'll stick, is that it's so easy and dangerous, really, to look around the internet and see all of these incredible role models and peers and mentors and competitors and whatever you want to call them, and kind of see what they're doing, how they're structuring their work, how they're arranging their packages, their services, etc. And to go, well, that looks good. I'm going to do that. It worked for them. It'll work for me. That's not necessarily true. There's a big difference between being inspired by what somebody is putting into the world and then kind of, copycatting or emulating a particular package or sequence that might not work for you at all. So I really believe in the power of giving yourself space to play and experiment and incubate in order to find your own creative rhythm, because once you do, you'll have something that's truly unmistakably yours, and it'll be magical.
Love it.
And that's all I got on creative.
Oh my gosh. So we have so many comments here of people just falling in love with you like right now, and several people who are in the lineup for your sessions coming up in the next few months. Um, so, oh my gosh, so many amazing insights. Amazing. So I really want to ask a couple questions here, and if anybody has questions on the live stream, make sure you're putting them in here. I know you guys are all enamored, but I'm sure you have questions. Um, so Alex, you said something that really hit me. It was about taking the interruptions out of your day so that you can stay in flow. And I have a lot of people asking me questions around this, especially moms or people who have, who have to work in random chunks all over the place. So can you give some more insights on how you can get some of those things off your plate or put them somewhere else so that you can have like dedicated time?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll tell you what's worked for me, and I've started to really get very forceful about implementing this over the past couple of months, is it's a very simple idea, just trying to batch things, right? So if, for example, I do have a couple of fiddly little check-ins and phone calls, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, I'll try to arrange them or schedule them so that they're like boom, 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 boom on one particular morning so that I know that I can just dig in, handle them, they're done, and they're not going to be sort of like peppering all over my week,
Yeah.
bugging me and making me feel resentful. So batching activities can be really, really useful. Very practical, right? It just works. You kind of get into the zone and you just hammer through it. Now, if you're a mom, for example, and I'm not a mom, so I can't relate to that on like a total personal vibrational level, but totally get it. Like you're responsible for someone else's life. So in that case, all I could recommend is in those moments that you do have time to yourself, right? That the kid is asleep, that the kid's with a babysitter or at school or preschool or whatever. I think that it's even more important in those pure, clean spaces to clear the interruptions, any other interruptions, right? I think it's really important to clear everything that is non-essential so that you can really take advantage of those times and dig into them instead of frittering them away. And then suddenly the kid's home and it's like, there goes my day, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Again, none of this is rocket science. It's really just my whole purpose in being here is really just to inspire and remind people that this is important. This is real.
I love that. Something that came up for me as you were talking, I thought, oh my gosh, there are some things that I really want to do. I want to take your words and I want to put them into action in my life immediately. So thank you. Wow. The other thing that I've struggled with, and again, I really haven't had a job in a long, 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 long time. And I had this huge guilt thing around Mondays. And I had this guilt thing where I'm like, everybody else is going to work. I'm not going to work. I feel really guilty. And I feel really guilty that I typically use Mondays to run errands, like organize my life, and do stuff that I've got this little voice in my head telling me is like not worthy, not like worthy of my time. And look at you just hanging out on a Monday. Who are you? Who do you think you are? And gosh, it's only been recently that I've been able to say, excuse me, Monday does not mean I need to be glum and working and nose to the grindstone. Like I can make Monday mean anything I want, and it's been such a shift for me, and it's still a challenge because like we're ingrained with that in our culture and our society that like, oh, it's Monday. Like everybody has these like glum faces and they share around the water cooler how horrible Monday is. And so for me, Alexandra, you're giving us permission to redefine what our entire work and life space looks like. In fact, my dad and I try not to use the word work. I like to say enjoyable money-making activities because I'm not going to work. I'm going to go do enjoyable money-making activities. And people laugh about it, and I wish there were a better acronym than just EMMA because that's lame. But enjoyable money-making activities, like I can go do that on Monday and have a happy smile on my face. And I can work in the evenings if that's when my rhythm is, and I can work, in the early morning or not. Totally. So I just, thank you so much for that reminder. And I encourage you, if you are carrying guilt because you have a totally different schedule from other people, and you know whether they are the ones making you feel bad about it or you are, like, kick that one to the curb. It's wasted energy, and I need to tell that to myself a lot too.
And challenging the prescribed rhythm that society tells us is appropriate is an act of bravery. Like, it's an act of courage, right? Saying, I don't like to work that way, and I'm going to do it this way, and, come and play with me or not. It's an act of courage. I'm reminded, I'll tell a really, really quick story because I think it's beautiful, about a very dear friend of mine named Diana Valentine. And Diana, after 15 years of working as a brilliant business strategist, realized that her ideal creative moment, her gem time, is first thing in the morning. We're talking 4 a.m. Like, the moment she wakes up, she is bursting. That is her most brilliant time. And she realized that she wants to share that time with clients. It's her best time. So she created a service, I kid you not, called Woke Up Knowing, where she will literally call you, wake you up out of your bed, and conduct this like dreamy psychedelic business strategy session with you. And people pay her money for this, a lot of money, because it's amazing. Because she was brave enough to say, this is when I work best, this is how I want to play, it's going to be 4 a.m, are you in? And people are in. So it's just another reminder that if you really own your creative rhythm when you work best, and you're very definitive about it and very courageous about it, people will get on board because you'll have that glow, you'll be unmistakable, you'll be completely irresistible.
Love it. Awesome. So we have a couple questions here for you, and the first one is great because it really ties into, one of the themes that we've shared this weekend has been around having a sustainable business, and part of that means balance, having some balance in your life. It's never perfect balance, but let's face it, as much as we love our businesses, we all need a freaking break. So she's asking here, Erin Marie is asking, do you totally unplug on the weekends, or do you work through the weekends?
Good question. This is really interesting. I try every couple of months or so to do a full-on digital sabbatical, and I've written about this on my blog. And by that I mean no text messages, no email, like literally a full-on unplug from the matrix. And for me, that's always really scary, and it's always immensely restorative. So I don't not work on the weekends. I mean, there are certainly some days where I'm completely unplugged and frolicking around the lake and, riding my bicycle and going to the farmer's market, and it's wonderful. But I'd say I'm semi-plugged in just about every day because it's fun. I like to check my email. I like to see what's going on Twitter. It's part of how I engage and I am in the world. That being said, like you, there's the random Monday where I've got nothing on my plate because I very intentionally cleared it, and that might be my Saturday. You know what I mean? So again, it's like there's certainly periods throughout the month where I intentionally take a day off and just chill and play and go to an art gallery and like recharge my creative engines. But it might not necessarily be a Saturday or a Sunday.
Right. Awesome. We love that. We love that. It's amazing when you have that freedom to not have to do the normal, like, working Monday through Friday, and instead you can be like, you know what, this week I'm going to work, Thursday through Saturday and take the rest of the time off. So cool.
Totally.
Another question for you is, hold on, let's see. What advice can you give to a blogger who's decided to go pro and is struggling to find her voice?
Okay. This might sound very like anti-online marketing, counterintuitive, but my advice if you're struggling to find your voice in the blogosphere is to stop reading blogs. Maybe take a digital sabbatical, get offline, get back into your body, get back into who you are, do the things that help you remember who you are. Talk to friends, talk to your mom, call your beloved godmother, go walk around, take your camera and take photos, do something that gets you out of this ultra competitive, who am I frenzy that we sometimes find ourselves in when we're in the blogosphere. I guarantee not only will you feel happier, but you'll probably get so much closer to what your real voice is.
That's awesome. And again, we've heard this a couple times, to get away from your core thing. Like, if you're blogging, don't look at bloggers. Go do photography, go on a walk. And someone else brought that up yesterday. Danielle Laporte yesterday said, find inspiration somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge because I know the whole copycat syndrome is something we've all like fought against, and the best way to avoid that is to make sure you're not being incestuous with the insights and inspiration you're taking.
Absolutely. I would say, like, if I had to put a percentage on it, it would be like 20% tracking your peers and competitors and seeing what they're up to and getting inspired, 80% outside of your industry. That
Love
works
it.
for me.
Love it.
Awesome.
So on Monday mornings, when you're thumbing through the pages of Vogue magazine, you don't have to hate on yourself because it's actually an inspiration thing,
Totally.
not a procrastination thing. It's about getting in your vortex. I'm just saying.
Okay, and we have another question for you, Alex. Do you have ways that you provide service and leverage your knowledge other than your live velocity sessions, your one-on-one sessions?
I do. Right now, my velocity sessions are the only way to work with me one-on-one live, right? It's my signature thing. It's the thing. But I also create little $15 script packs. Sorry, I'm losing my ability to speak today. And these script packs are basically bundles of email scripts for entrepreneurs and artists, and some for personal life and love and relationships that people can use. And I've designed them around a couple of different topics to help people get some wording around things that are often incredibly difficult to say, like, will you please refer more clients my way, without sounding like a total desperate weirdo? Or, can I please have a testimonial from you? Wink, wink. Or, this relationship isn't working, we need to stop. Things like that I've noticed people time and time again, it's like they need to say it, they long to say it, it's burning inside them, and they just can't quite get the words out on paper. So the scripts are all available on my website. They're really cheap, and people love them. So that's another way to sort of get some of my juice. I also blog pretty prolifically. I try to blog once or twice a week. I have a mailing list. I've got some free tools. So there's other ways to kind of get into my world, and there'll be more on the horizon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us. This has been a real treat, and I think the perfect way to kick off this morning. So thank you.
Thank you. It was super, super fun. And enjoy the rest of the virtual summit, y'all. Enjoy.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay, take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Ready to be inspired in your biz? Get weekly lessons to live in your business sweet spot, plus exclusive content that I only share via email. Sign up for updates at theyogipreneur.com.